Okay, we are live now. The only thing that's bad about live is like I should have a
Here we
some
are.
sort of like intro video so that during this setup,
Right.
it's like you could tweet out all the stuff or whatever while the intro video is playing.
I have a countdown timer that I think a 10-minute countdown timer. I can send that to you. It's like a little video with a countdown timer that I put on there. I can send that to you if you want. You can use it too.
Yeah, send that to me in Discord sometime when you have
Yep,
a
I'll
chance
do it.
here.
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully it's not too big of a file. If it is, I'll figure out another way.
All right, guys, if you are hopping on right now, you're early. Don't worry, you're early. Just like in Bitcoin, right? We're still all early. Bullshit, dude. It's been 15 years. We're not early anymore. The price went from like 0 cents to $100,000. Okay, we're not early. I am here today for a fun chat with somebody that I've met in the last, I don't know, month, 2 months.
Yeah.
I've been starting to kind of put out more YouTube content, kind of forming a little group here. I don't even know what we're necessarily all about because it's a mix of stuff. I would say Bitcoin is probably the anchor between us all, but we're all kind of channeling our own little niches. So this is Brad Long, guys. You can find him on YouTube, and I'm gonna just bring up his just so people can see here. This is Brad Long, and his mission is to empower millennials and Gen X to integrate Bitcoin more deeply into their personal finances. And you can see his thumbnail game is pretty solid here. So, Brad, welcome to the channel. What is going on? Why don't you give us the rundown on who you are?
Oh, great. Yeah. So like you said, I'm on a mission to help millennials and Gen X integrate Bitcoin more deeply into their personal finances so that they can get to financial independence in 10 years or less. I have been a financial coach for 17 years. I paid off $174,000 worth of debt going through Dave Ramsey's program back in 2004 and immediately caught the bug to become a coach. And so that kind of started my journey into content creation and YouTube. I discovered the FIRE movement and Bitcoin right around the same time. And so I think this sort of latest chapter, incarnation, whatever you want to call it, is really just kind of bringing all three of those buckets together. One of the things that was really tough, probably for the first 15 years of my, sort of coaching career was, talking about Bitcoin. It's like, it's like you have like three heads with some of your clients. So that was always a more difficult conversation, but I've started really serving more of an affluent, customer base, people that already have, money. They're trying to figure out how to do this FIRE thing. They're trying to figure out Bitcoin. Maybe they're new to Bitcoin. So, similar to, like you and Brian in terms of like I think the audiences that we're talking to are pretty similar.
Yeah, this like 30 to 50-year-old. I think since I'm going trading, it's skewed a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit younger as well, but generally speaking, same thing. So when you were creating your account, because it sounds like you're on your new wave, or like you're saying kind of a new mission. What was the thing that was most popular kind of growing your account? Was it the FIRE stuff, or was it the Dave Ramsey stuff back in the day?
It was the Dave Ramsey stuff. So I started on YouTube in 2018, and I was terrible.
That seems like forever ago.
I know I was terrible. I mean, I look back, most of those videos have been deleted. But just like all of us are, we start off and it's like your first videos are just terrible, So I started off, I was really just trying to learn the YouTube game and sort of the online business game. So I was kind of doing the typical, producing courses and just learning the process of, doing all the things. And then, I guess 4 years later, I had a couple of videos go viral that were really in the Dave Ramsey kind of vein. One had to do with one of their coaches that got involved in some drama and got fired. And then that gave me an opportunity to kind of talk about my journey with Dave Ramsey as one of their coaches for a while, why I left. And that just really resonated. So I had a couple of videos go viral, which is awesome and terrifying at the same time. It was great because my account went from 263 subscribers. Over the course of the month, I was over 10,000 subscribers. So it was awesome in that regard. I started getting more inquiries, more coaching, engagements, people buying my courses and all that kind of stuff. The dark side of that is, there's just a lot of crazy people on the internet.
Sure.
And, so just tons of troll comments. So, that was something that really kind of has helped me kind of develop a little bit of a thicker skin when it comes to.
Yeah. Probably put a bunch of expectations on you too, right? Like when you got a couple hundred subscribers or whatever, like, I don't know, like you don't feel like you don't need to really do anything. If you don't want to do anything, whatever. But I assume when you go over 10,000, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, people maybe are expecting stuff from me now. You probably had to start more output.
Yeah, it was. It was just a really interesting time because, I went from, nothing to like, this massive audience. But I think the thing that's kind of, that's kind of deceptive about it is that like a lot of that it didn't stick, So I got my first check, I got monetized. I got my first check from YouTube. It was almost $2,000. And then I went through this period where it was like nothing, So one of the things about going viral that's tough is that it sets a false expectation that you're just going to keep climbing the mountain. And usually when you go viral, you come way back down to where you were before, sometimes even lower. So that was kind of a big learning curve as well. And ultimately what I found with that incarnation of my online business and sort of my YouTube presence is that I was not serving players with money. All the people that I was trying to serve were people that were just like I was. I was broke. I didn't have any money. The Dave Ramsey thing, kind of came along. I made a false assumption that the awakening moment that I had, sort of this flashbulb moment, oh crap, that everybody had that. And as I got into coaching and as I coached more and more clients in the middle class, it was just like, they would just keep running into the same brick wall and not learn, and plus they just didn't have any money. So I got burned out, in that niche and had to back out. I actually pivoted and started teaching online business myself, just all the stuff that I had learned about online business, but I wasn't super passionate about that. And so it was about 2023 that I just kind of shut everything down and just decided to take a break. And it hasn't really been, until probably this year, about mid-year, once I discovered Brian Harrington's stuff. And I was also going through this Bitcoin journey too, where I've been a Bitcoin maximalist for, years and years now, but I started to get really kind of disgruntled with like all the, tired, worn out narratives that we hear all the time. I'm sure we'll talk about that stuff. So yeah, that's been the journey.
The journey. Yeah. I mean, when you say, it's so funny, like how I always look for analogies to trading, right? And when you say like you had this spike up, right? Sets these expectations that maybe are unrealistic. And then you realize it kind of pitters out and that like, there's this valley of like, oh, okay, well, if it's not going to be that way, am I going to try to meet, understand what happened, feel grateful and fortunate that it did, and then start to continue producing value? Or are you just going to kind of hope for another viral moment? And I think about that in the sense of like, a lot of people come into crypto and they'll have that moment, they'll have that big win, that 10x, that whatever. And it sets this expectation for them of like, oh, this is so easy. I'm going to participate now. I'm going to join these communities. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then a lot of them come to find out, give that back over time. They get dejected. They wonder why they wasted all this time. They kind of come to these realizations of trading is actually very difficult. It is a pursuit that I think is worth it for some people, but for a lot of people, they just think it's a life hack or something. And the markets will humble every single person that participates in whatever way they need to be humbled. So it's just very much when I hear that, I'm like, yep, That's so
Well, there
true.
are plenty of guys out there, hype guys out there that are like, yeah, man, just like in the online business, you're right. Like in the online business space, it's probably very similar to the trading space where it's like, I got so annoyed with, all of these sort of charlatans that are like, yeah, you can do this, you can be at six figures in 6 months if you just follow these 5 steps, and I see that in the trading space too, and it's just like,
Oh
yeah, okay,
yeah.
yeah, good luck with that. Hopefully if somebody's getting into it, they're getting into it for the right reasons, recognizing that, it's going to be a long learning curve.
Yeah. If there's one thing it takes a long time to learn, it's that you're always like the product. You're
Mm,
always like where are you being extracted? You know what I mean? Like
yep.
what voices are you listening to? What are their incentives? Where are you on that chain of information? Like, bro, like it's like the age old poker saying, like if you can't spot the fish at the table, like you're the fish, you
Right.
know? And I think a lot of people in crypto over the last year, I'm not specifically talking Bitcoin, but like um you're the fish. Like you're the
Right.
one getting extracted. You're the one paying for all these extremely overpriced market caps of products that don't actually generate money. And you're the one you're almost getting duped into being a community member to do the marketing for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's an example. There's this guy who he created it was either EOS or something. But one of these dudes who ditched his project in the end, he bought like a $200 million house in Sardinia on a peninsula, right? And you see that and you're like, wow, that's hilarious. Like, look at another crypto fraudster or whatever. But I'm like, do you know how much pain for people is wrapped up in that $200 million property and extraction? It's just
Oh yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
so, anyways, if you're in whatever industry, like think about are you the product, right? Like in a way, the crypto community is the product a lot of the times, and you got to pick and choose like where are you going to really support. That's why Bitcoin's nice. I don't feel like I'm getting extracted, you
Right.
know. Although
Yeah.
the OGs have dumped on our ass, and now we're a slave to the suits in a way, just like it always was. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
But so why Gen Z? Why millennials? Do you feel like I'm a millennial? Do you feel like we're all kind of running into this problem of like still not understanding our finances, still not understanding the opportunities available? Like, what is so attractive to that subset for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that there are a couple of things. One, I've learned to look at the data, and YouTube tells me that that's who my content is resonating with. So that's number one. Number two, I think that, millennials and Gen X are still in that spot where they're trying to get their finances optimized. At least the people that I'm talking to, they're trying to get their finances optimized so that they can be in a really good, solid posture to retire or even retire early. So I think those are
Mm-hmm.
kind of the two things. Boomers, I do. It's interesting because since I've started doing videos again and have just kind of rejuvenated my channel, I've actually had several older people that are sort of outside that range. So the principles are universal, but I think that really it's just understanding like who's already in the room and talking to
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
I just feel like it's not recession proof because there is proof that like during down cycles and bear markets that YouTube channels and social stuff does drop significantly. But this problem just seems to be not slowing down, if at all. It's increasing because more and more people are getting into like financial trouble. Financial literacy, even though there's so much more information out there, like I was like thinking if I go out and ask 10 people about like the economy, I bet you 9 out of 10 of them, one guy would probably be like a little casual trader and he'd probably have his thoughts and like whatever. 9 out of 10 of them would probably be like, it sucks. Like, everything's expensive. And like, they're just, I don't know what they're doing up there. And if I were to ask them like, oh, so it's like, is printing, what is printing money? Like, what is that? Is it good? Is it bad?
Right.
And a lot of people would be like, I don't know. I got to go to work. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And then
so
I gotta go to the game, man. I gotta watch the game tonight, you know? And that was my frustration coaching, you know, trying to coach the middle class, is that there
yeah,
were people that were, most of the people that I was dealing with, first of all, they were broke. Second of all, they just didn't have that internal whatever, you know, that why. They didn't have a big enough why to like even suffer a little bit, even suffer enough to understand the difference between price inflation and monetary inflation.
right.
And I remember I was watching the interview that you did with Brian Harrington a couple of months ago, and you were talking about how it was very insightful for me, because I'm like, oh, that's why I don't try to orange people anymore, because I'm so tired of, you know, unless there's a baseline of understanding about basic, you know, sort of macroeconomics and the difference
Yeah.
between price inflation and monetary inflation, it's really difficult to get people to understand why Bitcoin is important. You know, why even personal, you know, basic personal financial acumen is important. Because I think most of the American middle class just has this mindset that, you know, man, I'm always going to get like the next best job, or my ship is
Hmm.
going to come in, or, you know, hey man, you're always going to have a car payment, or, you know, like tons of consumer debt. That's just normal, you know? So it's kind of like talking to a wall. And I just, yeah, I found, you know, sort of a similar theme between the people that I was talking to, just general personal finance. And then that's pretty much why I stopped trying to orange pill people, like kind of like you were saying
Yeah.
in that interview with Brian. Unless they have a problem that Bitcoin solves, and we all do, you can argue that, but
Yeah.
unless it's a problem that they can see, you
Yeah.
know, they're not gonna be interested in Bitcoin.
I agree. And any time Bitcoin gets volatile and gets public, it only reinforces that they're making
Right.
the right
Yeah.
choice in
Right.
ignoring it.
Yeah. Like right
Um,
now is a terrible time to try to orange pill someone.
Terrible.
Yeah. Awful.
Everything else for them is done well.
Yeah.
So every time this happens, and I talked to some people about this, I'm like, this is why I hate is it's not only the drawdown that I hate, because like obviously I want to get rich and just kick rocks and go sip cold brew all day, but like it just digs the heels in so deep into
Mhm.
the psyche of
Mhm.
like, see, I knew it. I knew
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
Like, and then like even like they even go around and they'll ask like women about crypto, and it's like disgusting to them. It's like
Yeah.
vile, right?
Right.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, we are still so far from being
Yeah.
like an accepted part of the world. But to your point, before I forget it, it's like people still, I feel like that the big thing, and I don't know if this is just an education problem from the jump, but we don't ask questions. We don't ask questions. Like we just kind of like, we're given the thing, we're given the structure, we're given the game plan to life, and we just, you know, and then it's blasted in us in culture of like,
Oh
just do
yeah.
this, do this, do this, do
Yeah.
this. And then like, yeah, there's some anomalies that are like superstar singers and whatever, but you're not going to be them. Just do your thing. Um, and nobody asks questions, but like, when do they ask the question? I feel like that's why you'll tend to get these older people is like, maybe they'll stop caring as much what other people think. They'll get some money. Maybe they'll experience some volatility, and they'll all of a sudden they'll have a moment where they like ask themselves a question, you know.
Right.
And it's like, and then they YouTube it. And there's a Brad, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's Brad up there.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just crazy. It's wild. And I used to be this way, by the way. Like I don't think before 26 I asked like no questions. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I think it just is, you know, it just is, it's ingrained in the educational system. We're taught what to think, not how to think. You know, critical thinking is basically kind of like a, you know, it's almost like a super bougie thing, intellect, and, you
Yeah.
know, in the sense of like being an intellectual bougie, you know, kind of thing. But man, I don't know. I mean, I would say that all the people that I'm sort of surrounded by, you know, you guys in the community, and just even clients, and, you know, people in our social circle, they actually think, they know how to critically think. They have discernment, you know, and they, you know, it's just, it's refreshing. And so it's almost become a little bit foreign to me, especially since I stopped coaching the middle class and I really don't deal with that mentality anymore. But I know, I know it's still out there and it seems like it's growing. So
I agree. And this transition too from like, and it seems like you've had this for a while because of the areas you've been in, but like a long-term mindset, right? Because we are just punished in our face with like instant gratification and Amazon packages to your door in 4 hours and like everything's fast. So this idea of investing, even the word investing, it's like, like that takes too long. I don't really have any,
yeah.
I don't
Oh,
want
it's
to think about that or
risky.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, it's like, well, it's like anything else. You can learn it.
Yeah, absolutely can learn it. And so that's like another just huge issue I see out there. And I struggle with that too. It's like I want everything to happen within the next 2 3 years, because I am also of the sense that like I think about life a lot. From a deeper level, I think like okay, I have 85 years, whatever, 90 years. The first 20 years is cooked. It's childhood, it's college, it's just, hormones, it's just whatever, right? And then the last 20 years is cooked or you're just chilling. So like you have this 40 to 50 year window of time to like figure it all out, to raise a family, to buy assets, to travel the world, to do it all. And it's like, like when you're grinding and whatever, uh, that could take 10 years, 15 years to build something. Like I traded for 10 years, like pretty all in, right? And I
Wow.
got I wasn't even losing at the end. I was just kind of burned out. I was just like, yo, I'm signing in every day and trading like corn and oil. And, it's like, I like trading, but like, Jesus Christ, like at a certain point, um, maybe explore things. So this is different. The point I had with this though is like, when it comes to the thought and long term thinking, I really like Naval for this stuff. I don't know if you've listened to like the Navalmanac,
Mm-mm.
like his book. You
No.
should get the audio version of Naval's book. It's like a
Okay.
compilation of all his best tweets and ideas and stuff like that. But like he's been a guy who's like, and Stan Druckenmiller is like the investing part of this too. Is like you can leverage your thinking and problem solving and like way more than you think. Because I think we see things linear. It's
Yeah.
like we produce a work, we get an hourly pay or a salary, and like we can kind of project it out and like whatever. Whereas like Naval, one of his core pillars is like, hey, if I'm gonna do 10 years of something and I want to be great at it and it's interesting to me and I like it, I should spend a year thinking about that, making sure it's right before doing it. Whereas most people are just like, I need a job, get me a job, like get it now as quickly as possible. So now every time I approach decisions and where I want to spend my energy and stuff, I think for a long time about it
Yeah.
to be like, am I leveraging my skill set, my time? If this worked out, how would it work out? If it didn't work out, what would the opportunity cost be? Like these are all critical thinking things that like nobody's really. I know that was a lot. I was just kind of
No,
spitballing here,
I
but
totally
yeah,
I agree. I think that what's great is that you've gotten yourself into a posture, after going through, teenage 20s, killing lots of brain cells and, all that kind of stuff. You get to an age and hopefully a financial situation where you've created some margin that you can think. And I think that's a huge problem for most of the middle class in the United States is that there's no margin. We have friends of ours that, the husband is basically the CEO of the company, pastors a church, does, little league coaching. I mean, it's like the workaholism is like off the charts, and I don't know if there's ever any time that he can like sit and think, like just
yeah,
think. And that is one
yeah.
of the things that I love most about being in the posture and the situation that my wife and I are in now, like you, is that I can really I can get up in the morning, I can do my study, I can do some writing, and I can think. I can just sit
Mhm.
and think about something for a while and just run down rabbit trails. And it's
It's like
just,
you turn the dial down,
yeah,
slow it
yeah,
all down.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you were doing some content about that, for a while, just how noisy everything is. And
Hmm.
it's funny that it's a conscious decision that you have to make to step away from that.
And it's hard because you can keep like I catch myself doing this too. Is
Mhm.
like I'll go a whole day where if you were to be watching me as a fly on the wall, you'd be like, "Wow, this is a slow day." But I've been consuming like 6 hours of podcasts, thinking about
Yeah.
the YouTube video or what conversation I have to have with this. And like, I'm not slow at all. I'm like overloaded
Yeah.
actually.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I sit on the couch at like 4:30 p.m. or something, and my kids are there, and I'm like, dude, I am cooked. Like I am cooked.
I can't even form
Yeah.
a
And I
coherent
haven't
sentence
done
at this point.
anything,
Right.
it's I mean, you
Well,
have, but you know what I'm saying? Like
I
it's
think that's
crazy.
it's an interesting point that you bring up, because I read a good amount, but I consume a ton. I think YouTube is like the most amazing university. I mean, if I don't know anything about a particular subject, if you don't know anything about a particular subject, you can go from 0 to 100, just on YouTube. So I use it for the same thing. Another thing that I've started using is AI. I use
Hmm.
Proton has an AI agent, which I like because it's kind of privacy centered and end to end encrypted, and I care about that stuff. And then I'm also using Canva. So like in my videos, I'm producing like these presentations, but it's like I basically just plug in. I have this process where I'm plugging in the bullet points, and then
Yeah.
asking Proton in a meta sense, hey, can you create a prompt for Canva? And it like spits out this stuff, and it's just so much less work. That would have
Mhm.
taken me hours to do that before. But
Yeah.
it's all along the lines of just like creating more time, using these tools, creating more time to be able to like actually think about stuff.
Right. So you can leverage that to gain more time and you're probably increasing your output. That's why I'm so bullish on AI. Like,
I am too. I've been it's been a mixed bag for me until I
yeah,
just decided to get over the fear of it and just like dive
yeah,
in and not outsource my thinking. I'm not
yeah.
outsourcing my thinking. I don't want to do that. I'm outsourcing.
Hmm.
It's almost like my wife said, it's almost like you have a little secretary. I'm like, yeah, hey, I
Yes.
this is my idea. Go find me this stuff, and then I, bring it back in and analyze it myself and use what is what's good and toss it. And because there's tons still, it's not great. So you have to parse
Sure.
through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's like your little AI fairy, and instead of
Yeah.
pixie dust, it's pixel dust, Like you
Oh
sprinkle a little
man.
bit. Woo!
Ooh, run with that. Yeah. That's a
I
million
agree
dollars
though.
right there.
Like, yeah. So the one thing I heard something a long time ago with AI that I really liked is like you can outsource a lot of the productive, efficient manner of like what you need to do, but your history in the world and your stories are the unique content that it can't produce, right?
Mm,
Because it's not something that's like out
right.
there on the internet collected that everybody else can see. It's your own personal experience that you can bring in, match with the productivity and efficiency, and then boom, it's like now if you're putting out a video every day, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Which is like I'm trying to like put something out every day, and I'm like, yo, this is a lot. Like you know what I mean? Like, and I can't even imagine the guys who tried to vlog every day and like would
Yeah.
edit that.
Like Casey
Like
Neistat style. Like that guy was
I
that
used
guy
to
was
watch that. Like yeah,
I know. It's like,
uh,
how in the world? I mean, he just didn't sleep. That was really
he,
that.
he didn't sleep, and I love my sleep.
Oh yeah, me too, man. I got to have 8 hours or I'm, Bradzilla. It's not a fun place to be. Um, Man, I just lost it. It was a profound thought.
I'm sure they all are.
It was profound, but there it
Maybe it'll
went.
come back to you.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's dive a little bit more into you, like as an investor, and now that we know your history a little bit, like how would you describe Brad as? I don't think you're a trader, you've said, but like what are you? What's your investment vibe?
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough to characterize in some ways. Because I don't have an archetype. I know that you have sort of an archetype sort of system. I think that I'm just more long term. I have been more long term up until recently, and I think that partially thanks to Bitcoin, our net worth has grown to an appreciable enough sort of volume or size that we can peel off some of the, some of those assets to be a little bit more speculative and a little bit more, we can experiment with some things. So BTCI is one of those experiments. Stretch is one of those experiments. I'm actually getting ready to, I kind of posted in the community, just kind of posing a question about taking out a personal loan, like a $10,000 personal loan at a certain percentage rate interest to buy $10,000 worth of stretch, just as an experiment. Number one, because, my FICO score is like 782. And the one missing link for me is that I don't have any payments. I don't have any, we've been debt free for so long. We've got, credit cards that we pay off, and we don't carry any debt on anything. And we're renters right now. We don't even own a home. So that's partially to, kind of take my credit score to the next level so that we can, use more credit. But to answer your question, I think I'm mostly long-term, but I'm starting to get into some of this, like using margin, maybe using a Bitcoin backed loan for some things, maybe using a margin in my brokerage account to speculate on some things. So I think that there's maybe, I would say 20 to 30% of me that's kind of starting to look at, debt for those purposes a little bit differently.
Why do you feel the need to do it?
I think a little bit is, we've talked about this in some of our group calls, but I feel like we're a little over allocated into Bitcoin this cycle because it hasn't done what everybody has expected that it would do. I mean, we figured that we'd be 2-3x, from the all-time high, by now. So we're a little over allocated. We don't want to sell any. So I think it's kind of coming from that perspective, is we're a little bit restless. Like we want yield, I guess, is the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like, well, I don't know, you could share or not, but like, how do you pay for rent? Like what's coming, if you're like kind of soft retired or whatever, like what, is this stuff paying for your rent? Does your wife work, or like, what, how do you make money?
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially we've just been, just kind of living off of, savings and investments for probably the past couple of years. I've had, I've had some contract work, but now as I'm getting back into this YouTube thing, it's like, that's actually pretty quickly becoming like a nice little side income. We've also done some side hustles and stuff. I mean, if we don't do anything stupid, I probably don't need to do anything. But yeah, it's just been kind of drawing down on some of our cash reserves. BTCI is, now that's producing a monthly income as well. So it's just a little bit of a hodgepodge of stuff that we've been doing. Yeah,
it's interesting because like I've felt the similar, like you had again, going back to expectations, right? You had a similar outlook and then it's different, and you might have, I find like, what do you call it? Like wealth effects interesting, where, all right, if I'm 2 years ago, if I see that we're in the middle of a bull market and you project out, wow, it's like a repeating 4-year cycle. Did I do anything along the way to increase my lifestyle out of an expectation that price would catch up to like my spending? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like people do that often. Like, but we get a stimmy check from the Trump organization for 2K. Well, before that check hits, a lot of people are going to spend a lot of that money in expectation of it coming, right? Or they're gonna, hey, rates are gonna come down, so like we should go buy that house now, even at a higher rate, to try and beat the other people because we expect rates to come down. Right. So I think all that stuff is interesting, and I've adjusted my lifestyle accordingly over time, and now there are periods where like if we go through an 8-month stretch being over allocated to Bitcoin, and it was all fun and games for a while, right? And then you're back to 2024 highs, and you haven't really done much. All of a sudden, your expectations have like come back down to this like weird neutral point, and you start thinking like, well, yeah, what else can I do to try and make up for what isn't? Because if it did just smoothly go up 40% a year, a lot of this probably, we wouldn't even be talking about a lot of this.
No. We'd be like, oh yeah, man, where are we going to meet up? Yeah, I think a lot of it also for us, we have like we've lived a very frugal lifestyle. I think one of the things that I failed to mention when I was going through, from 2015 to 2019, rough 5 year period, I went back into corporate America because we were doing fine. We got into fire. We first got into Bitcoin back in 2013, but it just wasn't really moving the needle. And so I didn't really want to do it, but I went back into corporate software sales for 5 years. And our goal was for us to increase our net worth to 1 million. 5 years in, we got about halfway there, and we just increased our savings rate to between 70 and 80%, during those 5 years. So we were literally living off of 20 to 30% and banking and investing the rest. So we got a lot of leverage. We got a lot of momentum, during that time. But I think it just, when I went through Dave Ramsey's program, it just rewired every part of my brain. Like my finances are super organized. I have a cash flow plan. I track expenses. I still, shimmy those up, on a daily, weekly basis. We know exactly what's coming in and coming out, and our overhead is really low. So we don't have lifestyle creep. We've really tried to eschew that for many, many years. And I think we're just in this place now where we're a little bit, I would say we're fatigued. I got fatigued with the mainstream Bitcoin narrative, the Bitcoin maxi narrative, and fatigued with the like, okay, cool. Like we've been really constrained for all these years. It's time to live a little. Like, we decided we went to El Salvador for 6 weeks. We went to Europe for 6 weeks this year. And we've just been having a great time. And it really hasn't put a dent in our finances at all, because like everything else, we just try to do everything as frugally as possible without being misers. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm like the opposite of you. Like, I don't look at anything like I'm probably being charged 3 subscriptions that I don't even know about. I have creeped my lifestyle up like crazy, moving to an expensive city, having 2 kids, having no job. So I have to pay for health insurance. I don't have a 401k, like all of the opposite things. Yeah. Also, I don't want to stop that. I treat all this more as like a super volatile game. And like I see life in this game, and I just think skill issue, James, get more money, figure out how to make more money.
Yeah.
I like, but this goes back to like things I talk about with people is like, all right, where's my childhood, right? So I grew up in an area that was a little bit of a lower middle class, upstate New York. Not a lot of people doing a lot of abundant thinking and building and spending and all this. It was very much a keep to yourself. Don't try to get outside the box. Just get a job, live your life, see your family. And when I broke kind of that maybe chain of thinking, I have completely gone the other way to where I'm trying to just be as abundant as possible. And my stress comes from markets. So like I try to declutter everything else, right? Where like if I go to dinner, I don't want to look at prices. Now, look, I'm not gonna go crazy, right? I'm not whatever.
Right, yeah.
But like I'm gonna go to a normal restaurant. I'm never gonna look at prices. If I see a sweater I want, I'm not gonna look at prices.
Right.
If we go on a trip, we did a staycation to this place up the road for Thanksgiving, right? We didn't have to do that. Could have stayed home, cooked a meal, whatever. No, fuck that. I feel good. I'm having fun with the kids. I want experiences. I don't want to buy them shit as much. I want to do stuff. Fuck it, YOLO. Like that's how I think. But I also battle that with where I came from, which is just tugging the other way, which is like catastrophic thinking.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like all this stuff. So it's this constant battle, and certain people have it, certain ways. So on your note of like being frugal, what are the things that make you like the happiest that allows you to just live that way and be super happy without needing to like buy things and whatever? What are those?
I think the number one thing is just freedom. You know, I think those years that I carried all that heavy burden of debt, and it severely limited the freedom that I had. I had to go back into corporate America. I had to, I had to, I had
Mhm.
to, I had to. And I think that one of the sort of motivate, you know, kind of the focal point for me going through that process is that I don't want to be anybody's slave ever again. I felt like a slave throughout that whole process, before it, through it. And then once I got out of that, I was like, okay, cool. I'm out of debt now. My net worth is zero. Let's get to our first million. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that, yeah, for us, we just really don't have a lot of materialistic desires. You know, I'm very fortunate that my wife thinks BMWs are ugly. She doesn't wear a diamond, you know, she doesn't have a huge diamond ring. She's like happy with whatever, you know, I mean, she's very, very low maintenance in that sense. So I think for us, it's like, but then again, we'll spend money on traveling, you know, and
Yep.
we'll do that, you know,
Mhm.
reasonably and as frugally as possible. But I think it's really, yeah, our modus, our MO is freedom, you know, and so
Yeah.
if we feel like we're starting to make financial decisions or there are expenses sort of creeping into that, then, you know, we'll make some adjustments or whatever. But I think, like I said, I think at this point, perhaps like you, I'm pretty sure we've reached escape velocity. I never want to make that assumption necessarily, but that's also part of the reason that I'm doing YouTube and I want to do consulting again. And I'm actually I'm even applying to some, you know, Bitcoin only companies. I worked with a Bitcoin only company
You.
for
Yuck.
about 6 months earlier this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty cool because, you know, earning in Bitcoin and all of that.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a great plan. Now you're doing it because I could tell you're like excited like
Yeah.
about what you're doing. You can see it in your
Oh,
videos.
that's
Like,
good. Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, I see people that are doing YouTube that have been there years, and you could tell it's just maybe a little bit going through the motions.
Grind. Yeah.
Um, which it is. I'm not saying it's not, but yeah, if you've reached like that escape velocity, but you can also pad that, it probably
Yes.
feels pretty good,
That's exactly.
right?
That's a great way
Yeah.
of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're just
Padding.
playing a little bit of defense, right?
Absolutely.
To
Yeah. Just
avoid.
always trying to buttress, you know, just always trying to make sure, you know, the everything's taken care of. And
Mhm.
and also, yeah, like you said, I really, really I love it. I love talking about this stuff. I love
Mhm.
sharing the journey that I've been on, you know, and like what I've gotten out of it. And especially the fire and the Bitcoin piece of that. Because it's like, you know, if somebody has, I think we're still in a place in this country that if you have the motivation, you have a big enough why, you can become financially independent. It's going to be
Mhm.
painful getting there. You're going to have to, you know, but you're just going to have to do the stuff that everybody else is not willing to do, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I just watched a video on that last night actually while I was smoking a cigar, right? It was this old Sam Ovens video. You know who that is?
mm-mm.
Old internet marketing guy. He's great. But he had a video of basically like it's called like asymmetric warfare and long-term thinking or something like that. And it was basically like he's breaking down why Amazon is like one of the GOAT companies with a huge moat. And it's because like they do very complex things. It's very hard, and they spend more money to do it. Right? They had like fulfillment worldwide very quickly is very hard to do, and it's not cheap. They've spent hundreds of billions of dollars doing it. They weren't profitable for an extremely long period of time. It's very complex, and no, if anybody else just starts like a Spotify or not Spotify, a Shopify site, and they're trying to like drop ship some items to earn extra income, they're going to get hit hard on the shipping.
Mm-hmm.
And they've solved this really complex fulfillment and shipping by building these, centers all over the place, all this stuff. So because of that, a lot of people won't compete with them because they're like they start to get into the business and they're like, oh shit, fuck that. There's no way we got a chance at like
Mm-hmm.
taking a piece of their pie. And because of that, Amazon just eats up a lot of the pie, and that's why they're one of the best companies in the world. But this idea for even like content creators or having this long-term mindset, it's like if you're going to put high output out there, I use my friend Global Flows as a good example. The guy's output is absolutely insane. Now, he lives by himself. He has all the time in the world. This is his main gig, but he's one of those guys that's just like wakes up and is just like jet fueled relentless, right? And if anybody tries to compete with him, they're just like, dude, I don't know, I can't. So they just stop, right? And he's like, good, I'll take it. Like
Yeah.
I'll take the extra whatever. So it's really interesting to see like I'm thinking about this now as I grow my channel is like the work you do for the next 6 months will probably not even really show up until like at least a year from now, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it
You
doesn't
know,
feel like I put out a video, hardly anybody sees it, and
right.
I'm like, what's the point, right? But
Yeah, and it is, I think one of the things that, I learned from I think it was the Think Media guys back in the day. They were kind of the sort of the leaders in the YouTube space for quite a while. And they said, one of the guys said, you have to don't even pay attention to anything until you made 100 videos. It's going to take at least 100 videos for you to get any kind of traction on YouTube. And it's interesting because my first viral video was video number 117, so it's
wow,
not necessarily formulaic, but I think the bigger thing is that it's just, you have to, I think this third incarnation of me doing YouTube, doing sort of an online business, if you will, is that it's got to be fun. It's got to be not stressful. And it's not to say that it's not a lot of work, but it's work that I
yeah,
enjoy. And I really want to work on my own ideas. I want to write. I want to, work on these ideas. And I do believe in this mission. Like, I do believe that, Bitcoin and, just traditional personal finances, we're kind of in that point in the Bitcoin adoption curve where that's really coming together. It's ripe for that. So I see an opportunity. I'm getting the feedback from YouTube and from the audience. And I think that guy that you turned me on to, Mark Waters, I think that was a really cool share because I went and watched his video, and man, he is just the most chill guy. I mean, he's been in the documentary filmmaking business for like 20 years. He saw the writing on the wall that that's going away, and his, all of his leads and all of his business dried up. And he's like, I've been behind the camera for 20 years now. I'm gonna have to get in front of the camera and talk to people about what their mission is. Like, so I think it's really getting back to like, okay, if you're driven by a mission rather than this just thinking of just YouTube as this juggernaut, it's just a tool. It's just a vehicle for us to get our ideas out to an audience. And I think that if we can just sort of compartmentalize that part of it and just focus on the mission and the ideas that we're developing and that we're communicating and all of that, I think that's really the thing that will keep someone going. And I don't view anybody as competitors. I really see, everybody, especially in this personal finance Bitcoin space, as collaborators, because I'm going to say something different in a different way that lands in a different way than Brian does, or than you do, than you do, and so it's like, and it's not a zero-sum game, so that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it this time around. Plus I've just I've had some form of a coaching business or an online business since 2018, and I've two of them I've sort of walked away from and wrapped up, but this time around it's like I had to go through those. It's very cliche to say in this space, like I had to go through a couple of failures to, get to the place that I am now. But it's true. Like sometimes, it's not that you never quit. Sometimes maybe you do, like I did. I had to quit for a while. I had to take a couple of years and like just push away from it and be like, you know what? I'm not really sure that I want to do this anymore. Making videos is exhausting. And it's just because I was chasing all these external things. But now that I'm focused on one thing, my mission is to talk about this, this amalgamation between, the FIRE movement and Bitcoin, and helping people get to financial independence, in 10 years or less, using all the different tools that I've learned over the years. So that's really where, kind of the motivation comes from. And I don't see myself burning out. I might, but I think I'm trying to have a more balanced approach to it this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that as your unique spin, right? Like, the abundance mindset of like the pie is big enough for everybody, and it's going to land different with like certain people are going to like me. A lot of people will be like, ah, this fucking cocky douchebag, right? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, kind of whatever. You're kind of right, And then they're going to see you, and it's going to be like, oh, Brad, it's like nice guy. I want to hang out with him around the fire, and like, And when I think of what you offer, it's like you're kind of at the precipice of like the future stuff, but you also have a little bit of this like old school stuff in you too, right? And
Yeah.
it's like that. It's like how do we introduce the blend, the hybrid to people? And I feel like there's thousands of people out there where that speaks like directly to them.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's super cool. Like there was this one thing where imposter syndrome is something I dealt with for a long time
Yeah.
in trading and poker in YouTube. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I have to offer people? Like
Right. Yeah.
and a buddy of mine told me this. I thought was like so good. He heard it somewhere. It's like if you imagine any endeavor, any industry, there's going to be like 0 to 10. So 0 is like a person that just literally walked in the door to that industry, fashion or finance or health or whatever. And then there's going to be the person that's at the actual peak, right? The top dog, been in there for 30 years, has a huge following, makes all the money. And the skill difference and knowledge difference of that ladder is huge. And I think when we think about like what do we have to offer in imposter syndrome, we always like compare ourselves to the people that are up at these range, like, oh, like these guys are geniuses, like these are the best traders in the world. Like, what do I have to offer to all the people below them? And the advice was basically like, you drop that, like literally drop them from your mind. And you need to find out on that ladder, where do you sit, right? So if I'm using me as an example of trading, right? I've traded a long time. I don't really have a following, but I traded futures. I know quite a bit about it. I'm not the most right curve dude. I'm a little bit more of like a feel guy. So I sit somewhere in like that 6 or 7 maybe rung, right? So I should be focusing on like 3, 4, and 5. Those are my customers. Those are my people that might be like, yeah, like I know exactly what he's talking about, and that's like my missing piece. So the whole idea to sum it up was like try to be giving value to the person you're like just above, and don't think that you need to be the super genius, because everybody needs like different help, and they don't want to learn from that guy because it feels unrelatable. But you feel relatable.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that it's like, cause I think it's important because I mean, I'm transparent about this. I think you are, and I know Brian is. It's like, I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I'm not some expert. Now, there are a few of these things. There are a lot of things that I talk about that I am an expert in because I've lived them, I've accomplished them and all of that. But in terms of this new sort of, area that I'm going into, like, man, I don't, so this is, I make sure to say with all the BTCI content, like this is an experiment. Like a lot of you guys out there know the covered call ETF space way better than I do, but I'm just sharing this slice of my journey in the context of this broader journey that I'm on. And I think that, the even bigger point, to your point is that, I've been doing YouTube for, since 2018, however many years that is. I'm not a math guy. And I've learned so much, and so somebody that's new on YouTube, and I don't have a huge following, yet, maybe I never will. It's not really that important, honestly. But it's like, we're always comparing ourselves, like you were saying a minute ago, we're always comparing ourselves to people that have at least 10,000 hours in the game, and we're just starting out. And it's like, we just can't do that. And that's why I think it's really important to just be focused on, okay, is there a mission? If there's a mission here, that's what's going to pull you through, because it's going to suck. Like all this stuff has periods where it sucks really bad.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing this time around, but it took me 2 incarnations of this to get to the place where I'm in. And there are just certain things that I am not going to do this time. I used to sit and edit videos for 6 hours because I had to have B-roll and I had to have, I was trying to do the dopamine thing and keep people. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I might do some presentations because that doesn't cost me a lot to do that time wise, to gain attention, but I'm going to be more conversational. It's kind of like Mark Waters says, the whole thing about AI is that, especially all these channels that are just hard information, step-by-step listicle type stuff, AI is going to be able, and probably already can do that 100 times better than, some talking head. What we're doing is we're bringing our story and our experience and, helping people avoid the pitfalls as they, make these different micro transformations. So that's kind of how I think about it, man. I'm just out here trying to figure it out,
Trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's like connection.
Live.
Like people are connecting. Fuck it, we'll do it live. It's
Yeah.
like they feel a connection to Brad, right? And that's what. Yeah, actually, this is a perfect example. Is you and Brian, your accounts feel relatable to me. I feel like, oh,
Mm.
I could keep plugging away and I could get there and actually see how at that point they're starting to have little income streams and like how
Yeah.
could I
Yeah.
project that to actually make sense as like a wage, like a working living. If I look at a million, if I look at like Wolf of Wall Streets, right,
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah.
crypto, who I like Scott, like I
Scott
think he's
Melker,
got,
yeah. Yeah. He's
yeah,
great.
like what a grinder, but like that's that I don't think about that. Like I
Right.
don't, you know what I mean? It's like unrelatable to me. But oh, can I envision 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 subscribers? A way to get a free product, a paid product, and then at some point be like, hey, oh shit, this is a working wage. I can continue to do that, which means I can continue to be creative and help people and all that. That's
Yeah, I think
awesome.
if you have a 3 to 5 year view of it, and it probably will happen. I mean, you're already over 1,000 subscribers, so I mean, you're in monetization zone, which is great. You're if you don't have 4,000 watch hours
I
yet,
don't
but
think I have the watch hours. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I think the more content that you're producing, I mean, it's the way that I'm looking at it. I can,
Mhm.
I'm doing a daily video right now because I'm just trying to retrain the algorithm to, into this new
Yeah.
sort of 3 bucket, Dave Ramsey fire Bitcoin, kind of stuff. And it's working, it's working. And
Mhm.
now I'm remonetized because for a long time, my channel was dormant and it actually went out of monetization, which I didn't know was possible. So I just turned
Mhm.
back on monetization this week. And I'm already like, getting a little bit from that. I've got a couple of affiliates that I'm, sort of promoting on the side. I have these
Mhm.
30-minute calls, which yes, I'm going to raise my price. I'm I've got to, I'm doing some machinations around that. It's just details, but yeah, I mean, I do think that you just keep doing what you're doing because you're going to refine the process. You're going to streamline it. It's going to be easier to make videos. You're getting, feedback from that. That's the biggest thing. I think in the early stages of our channels, it's all about who are my people? What
Mhm.
problem is it that they have that they need my help solving, and just
Yeah.
going all in on that. But it takes a while to answer both of those questions. Who are my people, and what problem can I solve for them, or problems?
Yeah.
But I
It's not
think you're on
super
the
easy.
right track. I think you're on the right track, man. I would just say, dude, just keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I'm still, yeah, trying to narrow that down because my whole shtick in life is pretty much I do some trading. I like the mindset stuff, and I like just like a balanced Southern California living where I'm touching grass, but I'm also locked into markets, right?
Yeah.
It's like I think I'm somewhat relatable. Like people could imagine like being friends with me and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's not this like gimmicky trading thing where like people are living in Brickell, Miami and driving Lambos. It's like bro, we don't give a fuck. Like we
Yeah.
don't care. You know what I
Lambos are
mean?
the
Like
dumbest thing ever, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, like
like
it's
you see a dude riding in a Lambo down the street, and you're like, really, dude, really?
well, some people are car enthusiasts, Brad. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess I'm being a little judgy. So yeah, I stand corrected.
Yeah, they would probably judge you. You
That's
know,
true. Yeah, I'm
they
sure.
would say,
I'm
"Take your
judged all the
fire
time.
movement and kick rocks." You
Yeah.
know.
Right. Yeah.
So, but anyways, like, yeah, trying to find that exact voice is interesting because I don't like bucketing myself into things. Actually, whenever I corner myself, I get uninterested. Right,
Right.
like I
Yes.
like optionality and
Yes.
whatever. So, uh, having that approach of like all of those things and like that seems interesting. But yeah, no, it's fun. But like what one thing that we'll kind of wrap it up in the next 5 or 10 minutes, but that I do like talking to people about is like uh, that archetype, that
Mhm.
like why do you invest or trade the way that you do, and do you ever ask why you do that, or are you just doing something that somebody else does, or do you
No,
follow
I think,
people, or
yeah,
like
I
yeah?
think,
So break down what you think. How do you think you approach this whole thing?
yeah. So my approach really kind of goes back to what I was saying before is like, okay, what can we do to maintain and grow time and location freedom. Like what, I mean, for the longest time is like, okay, what can I do to not have to go back to corporate America? You know, so I think we've solved that problem at this point. Now it's, okay, how do we continue to grow? You know, how do we continue on the trajectory of capital appreciation? But now, you know, now we're looking for income off of the sort of nuclear reactor that we've built in our asset base. So that's kind of my mindset right now. I'm not sure what archetype, you know, that would fit into. I would imagine, just as contrarian as I typically am, I'm probably somewhere in between a couple of archetypes. But yeah, that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You would generally be more in like the, you'd probably a crossover between an elephant and an owl in the four that I kind of refer to. The elephant is more of like this long-term wealth preservation / you know, low volatility compounding, right? The Warren Buffett of sorts, the defensive natured kind of like, all right, we have this thing, you know, we have this long-term time horizon. I don't have shiny object syndrome. I'm not looking to trade in and out. I'm not going to be probably on the forefront of the next narrative or whatever. I have my thing. I'm focused on growing it, and I am, you know, going to do that for a long time. And then the owl is kind of like the absolute precision, studious person who's going to, like, before they ever allocate a dime, it's going to be in something that they have very high conviction in at the, you know, at the perfect time for the perfect reason. It's the combination of kind of both of those things, right? Where I'm a little bit the opposite too, where I'm like more of a bull who likes to do, I want to be on the forefront. I want to see where the puck is going. I want to be allocating money to that. It's going to be shorter term time horizons. The fox is like the day trader, the adapting shapeshifter, in and out of regimes, go over here, go over there, stocks, options, but, you know, it doesn't matter. And my whole point is that no matter what you are, you can get rich anyway. It doesn't matter if you're this, or this. It's like, okay, I am this. It fits well with me. It feels right. Okay, if that's the case, how's the world working in my eyes? If I'm a bull, what are the asset classes that would fit into that category now? Out of those, what do I like the most? What do I have the most convictions in? Okay, let's break those down even further. Which ones are in a zone or have an opportunity around that? Okay, let's go look at the chart. Okay, let's execute a trade or an investment. You know, and you kind of funnel it all down. And then that way, like, you're not getting just like, you're not just doing something because like, yeah, I don't know if you've heard this, but like, if you don't have a reason to get into a trade, you don't have a reason to get out. It's like, you get into something, you don't really know why you're in it. And then like when it goes down or up or something, should I get out? Do I cut the loss? Do I take the winner? Am I in this for a long time? I don't know. Right. Because you haven't like done the internal work to do that. And I feel like your whole last 15 years or whatever has been funneling down, right? And dialing exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think even with this, you know, sort of, you know, this iteration of where we are in this Bitcoin cycle, whatever it is, whatever it becomes, because I feel like we just don't know yet. This has been, it's been definitely part of the learning curve, and lots of stuff. Yeah. A lot of takeaways for sure. You know, do you talk a lot about those archetypes in your content?
I'm kind of like working it back in. Like I also have, I did these like 100 to 150 page archetype, like, breakdowns basically. And I can send them to you. They're fine. They're okay. They're nothing crazy, but
I think that would be great. It seems to me it would be great for your audience, because people, especially that are, you know, maybe not totally new, like you said, you're a little bit elevated on the steps of where people are, you know, they know about trading. Maybe they are a trader. So they're looking for sort of that next level, like, insight. And I just think that I find that those kinds of things, people really like those, and they find them insightful, because it's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm a bull now, but maybe I want to become more of an elephant. And I think the more you can kind of talk about that stuff. Also, one of the things that I used to do, is I used to build quizzes for clients, and I used to have a couple of quizzes.
I've made this quiz.
Oh, have you? Okay. Yeah. I mean, that is also, those are also really fun, you know, fun way to try to get some some engagement and stuff too. But man, yeah, I would definitely be interested. I think a lot of your audience too probably would be interested in hearing more of that narrative, or maybe you can weave that into each video or every few videos or whatever to kind of keep that sort of top of mind, because it weaves a little bit of mystery into the story too,
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I've gone through this whole, it's one of the reasons I started the channel is I'm going to work that back in as actually a product eventually. But I really like I called it the spirit animals, and because animal spirits is a markets thing, and then you had spirit guides for each one, and of course you're kind of tapping into each one. But like one of the reasons that I think, like, take your example, you're in a moment right now or this past 6 months where you probably felt subconsciously like you were a little misaligned, like, oh, maybe I'm pushing it a little too much, and that doesn't feel right to me and my archetype, you know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely. And how can I readjust things to get back to feeling like I'm aligned?
That nails.
And maybe you got a little you got a little too like bull archetype, where you want to be aggressive, you want to be a leader, you want to be pushing the pace, you want outperformance, you want all this stuff. And the price was helping that, right? But like going full circle back to the start of our conversation, like maybe you got a little too ahead of the skis, right? You're not used to that, so the volatility starts to eat away at you a little bit, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. I feel out of control. I need to get back to like my discipline, my archetype.
Yeah, that's a perfect summation. That's spot on.
Yeah, that's why I find this stuff interesting. It's like, of course, like it sounds so dumb, but like, of course, it's simply thinking about that to why something maybe works better or works worse for you. Like, start there, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, don't go search some trading account on YouTube and be like, I'm gonna buy their indicator package. Like, that's the thing. Like, no, that's not the thing yet. It might be a thing down the road, but the thing first is like, like maybe you're a Brad. Well, then don't ever buy a trading package, because that's not going to go well for you. Right. You know what I mean? You're buying the trading package because you heard one of your friends is crushing it, right? And you're like, I need some too. But that's not your game plan. That's not your thing. Right. Now, you can, like, and I'm trying to work through this. Like, I'm trying to become less of a fox and more of a bull / elephant. It's hard because I feel like I want to get in there. I want to control the outcome. I want, like, I want to make trades. I want to dull the volatility by doing more and more and more and more and more. Yeah. But if I can't, then it's like I'm going to make some big mistakes, which I've made some big mistakes. And so growing pains, call it tuition, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes you're not meant to change, like and that's okay. But right now it's interesting to think about. So.
Yeah. Very, very good. I'm in your chatting with looks like, hey, there's Oliver. Hey, Oliver, what's up, man?
Oliver's the man.
Yeah, he is.
He showed me some new notebook LLM type of stuff. He was like breaking down certain videos and all that.
Wow.
He's a
smart
super nerd over there. Yeah, Oliver, super nerd. No, I'm just kidding.
Smart dude.
Really. But anyways, all right. So where do you see yourself as the YouTuber and as the investor moving forward for the next 10 years? Are you trying to keep same, just keep chugging along? Or do you have any other specific goals you're kind of like thinking about in the back of your head?
Yeah, I think I'm just really interested. I'm just kind of in this season right now of just, peeling off a small percentage of our overall network to try to do some of these experiments, and trading may be one of those. I think that I would always be very maybe elephant or owl-like in terms of protecting the larger nest egg. But I think we're in a position now where it's like, hey, we can risk 5% of our, overall net worth to experiment in some of these things in a reasonable sort of way, So yeah, I think that's the overarching sense of, kind of where I kind of see us going. I'm really hopeful in Yeah, I'm pretty certain that at some point, Bitcoin will, resume a bull run, but just between now and
We'll
then,
see.
yeah, nobody knows, nobody knows when that's going to happen. So that's, yeah, it's a little
I think
frustrating.
owls and elephants sometimes underestimate their ability to trade, because I think all you really need is to know you're not going to do too much execution, and that you're waiting for just gin setups.
Hmm.
Like waiting
Yeah.
for fat pitches, but you need to have everything set up so that like when it comes, it's a lot of like brainstorming. It's a lot of like, well, if this happens, and this happens, then this will be a pretty good spot in this asset class, and I could do
Right.
this and this. And then if it ever like actually triggers, the win rate on that is going to be like astronomically high.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I'm just dinking around Twitter trying to take a trade here and there for fun, or like, oh, I'm watching a hour chart on Google or whatever, like, well, even if you're a good trader, you're going to be like coin flipping at best,
Yeah.
like, so I would definitely not rule out trading. I just
Yeah.
think it's like, for your mindset, my inclination is to think like, okay, what are the things I know the best? What are the things I have the most conviction on? What are the setups that would be really dialed for my archetype? And then go for
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. Yeah. I see it. I see it as a potential. So,
Yeah. All right. That's it. Anything else you want to say to the lovely people out there
you
outside of Oliver?
know,
He's good.
um, you know, uh, don't eat yellow snow, keep
Mm-hmm.
stacking.
God, dude, you're
Um,
so old. Unbelievable. Don't eat yellow snow. Jesus. You should be a boomer account. You don't
yeah,
need to
no,
do
no, no,
Gen
no,
X
no.
and
I'm
millennials.
not a boomer. Yeah, no, I'm Gen X, but I am not a boomer.
Gen X, the forgotten generation, the one nobody
Yes.
talks about. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We're so wounded by it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're a little bitter. We're a lot bitter actually, but that's all right. We're survivors, so we're gonna push through it.
Yeah. So hard to survive those 1990s or 2000s.
Yeah, it was really a lot of suffering.
All
Good
right.
times,
Well,
man.
Brad,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
And
you and Brian and I we need to do this too. I know we've been talking about it.
yeah, be cool.
It'll be very, very cool conversation. So appreciate it,
Collab
man.
life.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. And guys, if you don't follow him, go to his channel, Brad Long. It'll show up. His face is obvious. And yeah, although both of us kind of fit the everyday guy kind of
Yes.
profile, but we're out there. We're out there.
We're
So
out there.
talk to you later, guys. Have a good day.
Peace.